Hey everyone, I hope all of you are doing great. So in this lesson we are going to learn how to host a Django website on AWS EC2 Instance. And here is the article which I have written. So I'm also going to give you the link in the description. So if you are someone who wants to just copy paste all the configuration, you'll be able to do that. So our first step is going to be of creating a Django URL shortener project, which I'm not going to do in this video. So what you can do is you can go ahead and see this article where I have explained step by step how you can create a sample a URL shortener project in Django. Okay, I already have this up and ready, so I'm just going to show you how that works, and then we are going to host that website on EC2. So let me show you the sample project. So here you can see we have sample project called URL shortener. We are going to open command prompt and then we can write python manage.py run server, and by the way this is going to run on local machine. So here you can see this is what our URL shortener project is. We can give the complete URL and then it is going to shorten the URL and give us the URL. So let's go ahead. I'm just going to copy this URL and let's say we want to shorten it. So I'm just going to paste it here, hit short URL, and now you can see the shortened URL. Right now you are seeing this IP address, but soon this is going to go away once we use public domain and host our application on the EC2. So now this is the shortened URL. If I click here, I should be redirected to this article. So here you can see we have been successfully redirected to this article. So it means our Django project is working properly. So let's go ahead and follow the next step. So now once we have our Django project ready and we want to host it on EC2, our next step is going to be of launching an EC2 instance. So let's go ahead, log into AWS. I hope you have already signed up. If not, you can go ahead and sign up. You are going to get some free credit from AWS and you can use that to avail or see different services available in AWS for I guess 6 months, and there are some services which are available even for up to 1 year for free. So here you can either go to launch instances from here, or you can on the left hand side click on instances and then you are going to see launch instance here. So let's click on launch instance and here we are going to give it a name. Let's call it URL shortener demo. And here in the application and OS images, I'm going to go ahead and select Amazon Linux and I'm going to keep it free tier eligible, Amazon Linux. If you want to use any other, for example Ubuntu or Red Hat, you can do that as well. And in the architecture, I'm going to leave it to x86 64-bit. And here in the instance type, I'm going to select T2 micro, which is eligible for free tier. So we are going to get 1 virtual CPU, 1 GB of memory. But if you need higher capacity, please feel free to select any other instance with the higher capacity. And here in the key pair login, we can go ahead and create a new key pair and let's call it URL shortener key pair. And then in the private key file format, we are going to leave it to .pem, then click on create key pair and it is going to get downloaded. Here you can see this has been downloaded. We are going to see that later in our download section. So here you go, you can see this is downloaded and you can see the file. Now here in the network settings, we just want to allow HTTPS traffic from the internet and we are good to create a new security group. If you already have any existing security group, you can go ahead and select that one. If some of you who are having good knowledge on AWS, they'll be knowing what to do here. And here we are going to keep 8 GB of storage. If you want to increase it, if you want to have higher volume, you can go ahead and change it to up to 30 GB, which is eligible for free tier. If you increase it more than 30 GB, probably you are going to get billed based on the usage. So go ahead and increase it accordingly. So in this case, I'm just going to leave it as it is, and then we can go ahead and click on launch instance. It is going to go ahead and create an instance. While the instance is being loaded, let's go to the article and let's see what next we need to do. So next step is going to be of copying Django project to EC2. So I'm going to show you how we can do that. Let's see what is the status of the instance. It is saying successfully initiated launch of instance. So let's see the instance. Right now it is showing in pending state. Soon it is going to go to running state. So here you go. Now you can see it is in running state. And here you can see public IPv4 address. So this is the IP address which we can use to log into this server. So first of all, I'm going to go ahead and log into this server and see if everything is working fine. Remember, we have downloaded the key, so we are going to use this key for authentication. So I'm on Windows, I'm going to use command prompt. If you are on Linux, you are going to use probably terminal. So here we are going to give SSH-I, and here we need to provide location of the private key file and then the name of the file, which is URL shortener key pair pem. After that, give it a space and then type EC2-user. This is the default username which gets created once you launch EC2 instance with Amazon Linux operating system. If you are using Ubuntu, the username is going to be probably Ubuntu. You can check it in the documentation. Now we can type @ along with the IP address. So let's go ahead and copy the IP address one more time. So here's the IP address. Let's copy it and we can paste it here, hit enter, and here it is asking whether we trust everything. So I'm just gonna go and select yes, hit enter, and now we should be able to log into the server. Okay, so we are now successfully logged into the server. If I do pwd, so you can see right now I'm at /home/ec2-user location. If I do ls, you can see this directory is completely empty. We do not have anything here yet. So let's go ahead and copy our URL Shortener project here. And in order to copy it, we are going to use WinSCP. So I do have WinSCP already installed. You can install WinSCP or FileZilla. There are many other softwares available. Now we are going to go ahead and click on new site. Here we will need to provide the public IP address of the EC2 instance, and in the username it is going to be EC2-user. And we do not have any password, right? We are going to use a private key. So let's click on advanced and then click on authentication. Now here we need to provide private key file. So I'm just going to select it, click on download. And now one thing if you notice here is it is not recognizing the file which is ending with .pem extension. Okay, so we will need to convert our PEM file to PEM. So for that I'm going to use puttygen. So here you can see we are going to use puttygen, and here we are going to select load and select the file which we want to convert and then click on open. So here you can see we are getting notice that it is successfully imported. Now click on OK, and then let's click on save private key. Click on yes. And here you can see this is giving us option to save it in a ppk file. So let's go ahead and we are going to call it URL Shortener key pair.ppk. Save it, close it. Now here in private key file, we can go ahead and select the file which we just generated. Click on open and then click on OK. Now go ahead, click on login. Here it is asking whether we trust this. So I'm just going to go ahead, click on yes. And now it is successfully logged into EC2. So here on the left hand side it is showing all the files and folders from our local directories, and here on the right hand side it is showing server files and folders. So let's go ahead, go to GitHub. I have my project here in lesson 1 URL Shortener project. So yeah, this is what we want to copy. So I'm just going to go ahead, drag it and drop it here. So it's gonna probably take a couple of seconds because the project is quite small, but in your case if you have like some large project, you can probably zip it and then transfer it to EC2. So that's gonna be a little faster. Okay, so this is copied. Now we don't need WinSCP. We can just go ahead and close it. Click on OK. And now here on the server we can write ls again. And now you can see we have URL Shortener project available here. Let's go ahead, clear the screen once. And let's do ls. So this is our project. Now let's see what we need to do next. So here you can see we just copied our Django project to EC2. Now we are going to go ahead and create Python virtual environment. So for that you can just go ahead, copy this command and paste it. I'm just going to move it side by side. So I just moved it side by side so we can see this documentation and write those commands here. So I'm just going to copy it and paste it here, hit enter. And now a directory with name python-vnv has been created. So if we do ls, you can see we have python-vnv. So our next step is going to be of activating the Python virtual environment. So let's go ahead and do source, and then we can do either, as mentioned here, or we can just go ahead, copy paste it. There are multiple ways to do the same thing. So either you can follow what I have documented here. So now you can see we are seeing python-vnv in the beginning. So which means our Python virtual environment has been activated. So now this is just revisiting the directory structure. So I'm just showing what is the current directory structure. Okay, so if we do ls, you can see right now we have these two directories. And if we run tree command, by default tree command will not be available. So if you want to use tree command, you have to do sudo yum install -y tree, and then it is going to install tree command. Let's go ahead, clear the screen once, and let's write tree-l space 2. So here you can see this is the directory structure we have. We have python-vnv, inside that we have bin directory and Python executable. and then we have URL shortener project. So this is basically our Django shortener URL shortener project. Now our next step is of installing Python 3 development packages on EC2. So I'm just going to go ahead, copy it and paste it here, hit enter, and this has been installed as well. Now next step is going to be of installing Apache HTTPD. So you can just go ahead and copy paste all of these commands one by one. So I'm just going to go ahead, clear the screen once, and then start copy pasting the commands here. So right now it is installing HTTPD, which is done. So we can now go ahead and enable it. So what this command is going to do is, if you let's say restart EC2 instance, in that case Apache HTTP is also going to get automatically restarted. If you don't enable it, in that case EC2 machine is going to get started, but you have to manually start Apache HTTPD services. For now we are also going to go ahead and start HTTPD services, and if you want to see the status, you can just go ahead, copy this status command. So right now it is in active state. Now we can go ahead, clear the screen. And now we will also need to install mod WSGI. So this is a critical step because this is basically making everything quite easier for us. So let's go ahead, copy it and paste it here. Okay, right now we are getting this error. So it means we are missing one command here, which I even forgot to document. So let's go ahead, clear the screen and then paste this command. Okay, so we are going to do sudo yum install, and you can also do -y here. Hit enter. Okay, so once this is installed, we can go ahead and do pip install mod -wsgi, and this time it should get installed properly. Okay, so this is installed, and now the next step which we will need is we need to install Django, because obviously it's a Django project. So if you have a requirement file which is called requirements.txt, let's rather go ahead and create requirements.txt file, and here we are going to paste Django. Now if you need any other packages, go ahead and add those here as well. And then we are going to do pip install -r requirements.txt, hit enter, and it is going to go ahead and install Django. If you had any other packages in this file, it would have gone ahead and installed those packages as well. So now everything looks good. We can just go ahead, clear the screen once, and then we will need to update the file permission and ownership. Okay, so this is something which we need to do as well. So let's go ahead and copy paste these commands. Now we need to go to projects settings.py, and there we need to add mod wsgi.server in installed application. So we can just go ahead, do vi URL shortener project / URL shortener project again, and then we can go ahead, open settings.py. Now here you can see I'm getting read-only error because we changed the file ownership to Apache user. So that's the reason EC2 user is not able to make changes. So I'm just going to go ahead, exit from here. And what we can do is I'm just gonna switch to root user. So I'm just gonna do sudo space -, because after this we are also going to install Nginx, which will be requiring root privileges. So we are now switched to root user. If I do pwd, or rather who am I, you can see I'm logged in now as root, and currently I'm at /root directory. So we need to go back to /home/ec2. For that I'm going to do cd space /home/ec2-user, and here you can see we are again at the home directory of EC2 user. Now we are going to do source python virtual environment bin activate. So basically we are activating Python virtual environment again, because when we switched to root user, our virtual environment was deactivated. Now we can go ahead and modify settings.py file of the project. So here in this settings.py file, you are going to come to installed application section, and here let's go ahead, create a new line, and we can add mod _wsgi.server, save it and exit. Now let's see what's the next step which we need to follow. Configuring Apache HTTPD using run mod wsgi command. Okay, so this is something which we need to follow. Okay, so first 3 commands are required to switch to root user, which we have already done, and then we need to move to URL shortener project directory. So right now if you see we are here, so we need to do cd URL shortener project, and let's clear the screen once. And now if we do ll, here you can see we have manage.py. So you need to be at the location where you have your manage.py file, and then you can just go ahead copy paste this one. Now notice one thing in this command is, even though I have given the explanation here, but notice one thing here in the server name. In the end, I have given the domain name on which I want to access my web application. Now in your case, you need to provide whatever domain name which you have chosen to or which you have purchased. In this case, this is what I'm gonna do. So let's go ahead, copy it, and I'm going to paste it here. Hit enter, and here you can see it is saying server URL. So basically it's here, it has configured to listen all the requests on this URL, and everything else looks okay. Now of course we will also need to make sure this is added to allowed URLs. So I'm just going to copy this URL, Shortener futureaitools.online, and we are going to make one more changes to our settings.py file. So let's clear the screen and do ls, and we are going to go to URL Shortener project, and here we are going to go to settings.py, and now here in the allowed host we will need to add this domain name. So I'm just going to copy this domain name and going to go ahead and paste it here. Now let's go ahead and save it. Now everything looks okay, and this is the output which we have received. So this is what was expected. Now we can go ahead and start it. So let's go ahead and do /wsgi _config, and then we need to go to Apache CTL, and then we can write start. Hit enter, and you're not going to see anything here, but let me clear the screen and do ls. So you can see we have a directory which is called wsgi _config. So we can move inside this directory, and then if we do ls, you can see we have Apache CTL utility. So you are going to use Apache CTL space start to start the web server, and you can use stop to stop the web server. If you want to see the status, you can use Apache CTL status to see the status of the web server. Now if you want to see the project logs, in that case you are going to open this file which is error_log. So let's do tail-f error_log, and here you can see right now we do not have any error, so everything seems to be up and running as it is. Now let's go back to this command and notice one thing here. So here we are running Apache web server on port 85, but as you are aware, all the domain name request which is being served on HTTPS is basically going to come on port 443. Okay, so what we are going to do is we are also going to install Nginx, which is going to take all the requests coming on this domain name, and then it is going to pass that to HTTPD web server. So let's go ahead and install Nginx, and for that you can follow these commands. So I'm just going to go ahead, copy it and paste it here one by one. Okay, so Nginx is installed. Let's go ahead and enable it, and then we can see the status. So I have not started it, I just want to show you what is the status right now. So right now you can see active is inactive. Okay, so it's not running. So we are just going to quit from here. Let's clear the screen, and then we will need to make some configuration changes. So basically we need to add a configuration file at this location. So I'm just going to copy this location and do cd space and then paste this location. And now here we are going to create a file called url-shortener.conf. let's do vi, open up this file, and we can go ahead copy paste this configuration there. So I'm just going to go ahead copy paste it here. Now here in the server name, make sure you give the domain name which you have purchased. Okay, so here I'm using url-shortener.futureaitools.online, but you need to make sure you are using the correct domain name. And we will also need SSL certificate and SSL certificate key. So since I'm using Cloudflare, I can go ahead on this domain which is futureaitools.online, and let me just open up in a bigger screen. And here we are going to go ahead and go to SSL, and we need to go to origin server, and we need to create a certificate here. So let's go ahead, create a certificate, and we are just going to leave everything as it is and then click on create. Now we have a certificate file, and we also have private key files. So I'm just going to copy this, and we are going to create the file under conf.d directory. So let's just save it and exit from here, and let's create a file here which is called, I'm just going to call it f.crt. You can call it whatever you want. So I'm just gonna, but extension must be ending with crt, that's gonna be better. So let's go ahead, paste it and exit from here, and then we are going to copy this key as well. So I'm just copied it and we are going to do vi f.key, paste it, save it and exit. Okay, so let's do ls. You can see now we have certificate file, we have private key file, and then we have URL shortener configuration file, which is going to be used by Nginx. So now let's open this URL shortener file, because we also need to make changes and provide the correct file name inside this. So here our SSL certificate is available at f.cert. So I'm just going to remove it and write f.crt. Now here we are going to give f.key. Everything else looks okay, so we are just going to save and exit from here. Now let's see what is there in the documentation. So once we configure Nginx, we can restart Nginx and load the configuration file. So we can do Nginx-t to test whether Nginx configuration is okay. And if everything is fine, we can just go ahead and restart Nginx. So let's do Nginx-t. Okay, so we are seeing syntax is okay and test is successful. So everything fine. Let's go ahead and do systemctl restart Nginx. Okay, there seems to be some error, but before checking the error, I'm just going to do systemctl status Nginx, and let's see what is the status. Okay, so this has failed, seems some issues. Okay, it is saying address already in use, so I'm just going to quit from here. And the reason why it is happening is because we are also running httpd, which listens on port 80. So I'm just going to do systemctl stop httpd. So we don't need the default one to be running. So let's go ahead and do systemctl start Nginx now. And now it has been started, I guess. So we can do systemctl status Nginx. And here we can see status is active and running, so everything looks okay here. Now the only configuration which we need to do is we need to update DNS record in the DNS registrar. So since I'm using Cloudflare, I'm going to go to Cloudflare, and then we need to go to DNS. If you are using Hostinger, you need to go to DNS management in Hostinger, and here we are going to add a record, and it is going to be of type A. So make sure in the type you select A, and then in the name you don't need to provide anything. If you want to access it, like let's say you have example.com, so in that case you don't need to provide anything in the name. But if you want to access your website on a subdomain, then you can provide the name of the subdomain here. So for example, in my case, I'm going to provide URL shortener. So I'll be able to access my website on url-shortener.futureaitools.online. And here we need to provide IPv4 address of our EC2 instance. So let's go ahead, copy this IP of our EC2 instance which we created on AWS. And then let's go ahead, paste it here. Now we can go ahead, click on save. And now Cloudflare is gonna probably take 2 to 3 minutes to propagate this to all the DNS servers. But we can go ahead and try open this url-shortener.futureaitools.online. Alright, so here also you can now see our project has opened. So here you can see URL shortener.futureaitools.online. On this one, our Django project is being served. So let's go ahead and copy this URL and let's try to shorten it. So I'm just going to go ahead and paste it here, click on short URL. Okay, so you can see we are getting this error, and what is happening here is we are trying to make a post request and Django is giving error because this URL, or basically this URL shortener future AI tools online, this is not available in trusted origins in settings.py. So we are going to do that. I'm just going to copy this. So here we need to go to our Django project directory, which is at home ec2-user, and we need to go to URL shortener project, and let's go ahead, open up URL shortener project settings.py, and here we are going to add this one CSRF trusted origins, and let's go ahead, save it, and then we are going to restart. Okay, so this is fine. Now we should be able to refresh it. Let's confirm let's just cancel it. Let's open it in a new tab and let's close the previous tab. Okay, so this one has loaded. Let's go ahead, copy this URL again, or maybe let's go ahead, copy this URL, and let's go ahead, paste it here, click on shorten URL, and you can see we have received a shortened URL. So if I go ahead, open this in a new tab, it's going to redirect me to this article. So here you can see everything is up and running, and we now have successfully hosted our Django project on AWS EC2. If you do get any error, please feel free to let me know in the comment box. I'll be more than happy to answer you. If you liked the video, please hit like and do comment thank you in the comment section. That's going to help us grow this channel. So that's all in this video, and I'll see you again in the next video.